Here we go again. Today we are back for another mock draft on the channel. This is a post-combine NFL mock draft. Now we are getting really close to NFL free agency. It begins next week. I believe next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. It's getting pretty interesting. Couple trades we had this week. We had Titus Howard get traded from the Texans. Now the Browns, he's not a great offensive lineman, but a mediocre one is really going to help improve that team. David Montgomery gets traded to the Texans as well. That's a lot of pieces for, a 30-year-old running back. I'm not sure about that one. I think that's a big overpay. I think that's a great deal for Detroit. They also get an offensive lineman when Detroit's offensive line really struggled last year too. Now, the third one, the biggest one, Trent McDuffie gets traded. I mean, top 10 corner, I think most people would say. Might have been a little worse this year. He was also injured. But the Chiefs are getting another first-round pick. They picked 29. They also have picked 9, obviously. And they get 3 more picks. That's a huge deal. That is an awesome deal. I think that's an awesome deal for both teams. I think the Rams' biggest need in this draft was corner or secondary just in general. And I think that's just, filling in that big hole that you had there perfectly. Let's get right into it, though. We had a very interesting NFL Combine. As you can see, some of these rankings probably a little different from last time. C.J. Allen, Thieneman, list goes on. I mean, McNeil Warren was a mid-second rounder before, and now he's risen way up. But 1-1, I don't see it. I don't think you'll wait another year. You could hope for Arch. Will it happen? Will you get him? You don't know. I think this team is too talented. It's too well coached now. I don't think you'd be bad enough to get Arch. I don't think it's a worthy risk at all. The Jets. Now, I've had Reese mocked here basically the entire time. I had really just a struggle post Dante Moore figuring out who I wanted to put in this spot, but I think Reese fits this team. And after that trade where they trade away Jermaine Johnson, they get T'Vondre Sweat, who plays defensive tackle. Interior, I think this is just the perfect guy, and I think Reese fits his team on the outside. Might be more of a, outside linebacker more than an edge rusher, sort of like, how Von Miller was. He was also a number 2 pick. I would reckon, the Broncos probably were happy with how that pick went. And as a Broncos fan, I know I am. So, pick 3 here with the Cardinals. I'm not sure, because this is a team who just released Kyler Murray. Their only quarterback on the team is Jacoby Brissett. I don't think they have Clayton Tune anymore. I think he's playing the XFL, CFL. Could you take quarterback at 3? I really hope not, because their GM is fighting for his frickin' tenure. He's going to get canned if they take a quarterback. I think this is a team that's got to focus on the offensive side of the ball. Now, 2 picks here for me. I think Bain's in play. I think Bailey could also be here. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't rule it out. Same with Downs here. But I think the 2 most likely ones are going to be Mowaga. And I think Jeremiah Love's also in play here. He had a good combine, ran a good 40. Pretty promising. Obviously, the Giants have had a lot of talk about, do they want to take the running back? They already have Scat in Tyrone Tracy, who did have a good year last year. They want to bring in Love. They've also been really interested in Kenneth Walker, who's a pending free agent. We'll get to more on him later. Do you take Jeremiah Love at 3? I don't think so. I think you wait. I think you have bigger needs. I think Trey Benson is decent. We haven't seen a lot from him to really be confident. I think this is a team who will draft a running back, whether that's Price, Emmett Johnson, Mike Washington, who had a really good combine out of Arkansas. How Arkansas didn't win a conference game, beyond me. I think the pick is Mowaga here. He's the clear best offensive tackle. This is a team that really needs another tackle. Paris Johnson, Mowaga on the outsides. Whatever quarterback you have back there, this is a good start. Obviously, you have Marv, you have Michael Wilson, you have McBride. It's definitely shaping up. Mike LaFleur, I think he'll be a good head coach. He was good offensive coordinator for the Rams. This is an interesting team for next year, depending on who the quarterback is. I think Malik Willis is probably going to be the guy they go get, and I love that. I mean, I think Willis really transformed how he is as a quarterback. If we remember back in Tennessee, I think they ran the ball with Derrick Henry 40 times a game in the games he started. Now he's a guy who can really throw the ball. He was really good for Green Bay. Just shows how good Matt LaFleur is. I know he gets a lot of stick, but he's done a lot with the amount of injuries they really have had. Now, Tennessee at 4. I think last time I did have David Bailey. I'm still torn on this pick here because I do think it could still go many, many ways. Now, I don't think it's going to be Caleb Downs. Sonny Styles, I don't think so. I think it's going to be David Bailey. I think it's going to be Carnell Tate, or I think it's going to be Rueben Bain. I am going to stick with David Bailey. I do think Bain is really falling his stock right now. I'm not sure how far he's going to drop, but I could really see him dropping down to 12 at the max. I don't think he would fall past Dallas. I think Dallas is too well positioned as a team to pass up on a prospect like that, who does have probably top 5 upside in the draft. I think Bailey's a lot safer right now. I think Bailey had a better combine. Just a lot less red flags on him. And that's just kind of what I think right now. Now, at pick 5, I have had this guy for weeks. Caleb Downs. Absolutely love him as a prospect. But we have a big problem. His combine, not as good as expected. Okay, that's fine. But when you have the regenerative ACL, that's not a good sign. Now, it's not a huge deal for a lot of players. Well, it is, but it's bigger and a larger need or a larger issue when you're playing on a turf field where injuries are way more likely, as we've seen year to year. MetLife has really been the stadium to just kill players' ACLs. This is a real big red flag right now. I think this is a real question mark on Caleb Downs to the Giants as a prospect. I do think he is probably the best prospect in the draft, but this is just not something that you could just look over if you're the Giants. If you get good signs, besides that, I mean, he still is the best player in the draft, but I don't know if you have that ability to, Joe Schoen is playing, he's GMing his last year potentially. If he takes Downs and Downs tears his ACL, Downs is injured all year, it's really going to get him canned. So, what do the Giants do here? I think you have a really tough situation. I think Mansour Delane is in play here. I really do. I think Carnell Tate's in play. Sonny Styles, I think he's in play too. They just cut Bobby Okereke, who's been there like 5 years. I think this just opens up a huge gaping hole at linebacker. I think Rueben Bain could be in play, although it doesn't feel like a need. It feels like you're just taking the best player. But if they don't sign Kenneth Walker, some other running back, Jeremiah Love really could be the pick. And I'm going to go with him today because that seems the way we're heading right now. And I don't know what the Giants are going to do. This is a really hard team to read. I think you really have to consider that they might take Jeremiah Love. They might get that elite running back they've been looking for and leave some really good players on the board as well. I do think Love is probably a top 3 prospect in the class behind Downs. I think he'd be above Mendoza too, talent-wise. It's hard to compare as well. But now, at the Browns, at 6, I'm going to go with the way I did last time. I'm going to go Carnell Tate. I do think Cornell Tate is perfect for this team. This team needs offensive line. They need offense. They need receivers. They need quarterback. Who knows what they're going to do? You have 2 first-round picks. Take Cornell Tate, the guy from OSU, the guy who's going to play in the same state. He is a very, very good receiver. He might have the lowest ceiling, but he does have the safest floor out of any of the receivers in this class. Now at 7, Caleb Downs. I'm going to have to say it again. I mean, Caleb Downs makes a ton of sense here. Ruben Payne makes a lot of sense. Makai Lemon makes a lot of sense. Sonny Styles makes a ton of sense. Mansour Delane, McCoy. I wouldn't recommend McCoy personally, but who knows with the Commanders. You want to help your quarterback at the end of the day. That is the priority one for this offseason for the Commanders. I do think the pick here is going to be Caleb Downs. I think Caleb Downs is the best player available. I think he is the guy that makes the most sense for them to take here. I think him falling to 7 is obviously kind of crazy, but it's also hard to take a safety super high. And obviously with that news of the ACL, you just have to be very cautious. I think Bain's very possible. I think Payne and Downs, probably between the two, one of them is going to be the pick. Besides that, Lemon, Delane, maybe Sonny Styles, but I think most likely it's going to be Downs or Bain. With the Saints, I'm going to run it back. I really do hope they take this guy because I absolutely adore the fit. Please, please, man, get Makai Lemon on the Saints. Get him with Kellen Moore. Get him with Tyler Shaw. Get him with Chris Olave. This is the perfect fit. He can play inside. He can play outside. He's not that receiver they make him out to be where he's just a slot guy. He's a small receiver. This guy's a beast. This guy is the best receiver in the draft, in my opinion. I think he has top 5 receiver upside. I really do. I think he might be the next, really good receiver that comes out. Obviously, we might have a better one next year with Jeremiah Smith. But I think Makai Lemon to the Saints is perfect. I think that is the ideal guy for them to draft. Now, the Chiefs at 9. Now, I have had this guy, Jeremiah Love, mocked to the Chiefs for the last 2 months. This really opens it up for him. Because, 1, you trade Trent McDuffie away. That's big. It opens up the door to take a corner. Obviously, there's been talk today about them wanting to sign a running back. I think Tyler Allgeier. I think Kenneth Walker probably out of the range. But I think Etienne's in play as well. Maybe Rico Dowdle. Who knows, really? I think Allgeier probably is going to be the most likely one. Obviously, Pacheco's a free agent. Kareem Hunt's a free agent. But I think if you're going to replace the production that you get out of McDuffie, you take the best corner in the draft, and that is Mansour Delane. Without a doubt. Now, McCoy, obviously, he didn't participate in the combine because he's still injured. Not a good sign. Now, I really think he needs to play on the pro day, or he's going to start to dip a little more. It's not a good sign when he's, talking about he's not sure when he's going to be healthy. Yeah, I'm not confident in that. I don't think he falls past Dallas regardless, but it is really a curious case there. Now, at 10 with the Bengals need everything, and I think if you want to take the best player available here, it is Sonny Styles. I think Bain could help. I think McCoy could help. I think Banks could be good too, but I think Sonny Styles is the best player available, and I think he fits in perfectly. They need linebacker. They have needed linebacker since Vontae Burfict fucking left the team whenever that was. I think 2019, 2020. Get this team some help defensively. I think this is a team that, anyone could tell you the Bengals should be good. You have Burrow, Chase, you have Higgins, you have Chase Brown. You got the offense. You just don't have a defense that puts out a good enough product on the field to win you games. And I think it all starts with linebacker, and I think Sonny Styles. We saw his combine. He's got probably the best linebacker combine I've ever seen in my life, at least that I can recall. This guy's just, this is an all-pro caliber linebacker that they're that's going to end up somewhere. Who knows where he's going to go? Really curious, as I am with a couple of these other guys. Now with Miami. Miami. Obviously, you're between two picks here. It's going to be Ruben Bain or Jermon McCoy. I think Bain really probably does end up on the edge of pick 10. I think, like I said, I don't think he falls behind Dallas. Either of these two guys would be awesome for Dallas. I think needs-wise, I think Jermon McCoy makes more sense for Miami just because their corner is pretty poor. But I do think they're going to be going with Ruben Bain. Best player available, safest player available. Stays in state. He was obviously really good at Miami. And I think Jeff Havley would absolutely love to have this guy. Now, pick 12, I think Jermon McCoy is just the easy pick. You need corner. Like I always say, Bland, Diggs. Diggs obviously not on the team, but Bland was fucking terrible this year. He was really overpaid based on his insane pick production, which just isn't gonna hold ever. Who knows when McCoy will be back, but the talent is there. He is a really good prospect. He was the best corner in college football in 2024. Obviously, he was hurt the entirety of 2025. Hopefully, like I said before, hopefully he plays or he participates in the pro day to give the scouts and GMs a better idea of what's going on. Now, with the Rams, another super interesting team here. A couple of these teams had two picks, but the Rams already moved one of them for a really good player that's really going to help that defense. Their biggest need was corner. They fill that. Ty Simpson, I did think could have been the pick at 29 there, but who knows what they'll do now. I don't think at 13 they're going to be taking quarterback. I do think they're going to try and win one more time with Stafford. They were close this year. They were the second best team in probably the NFL. I mean, out of those last four, obviously the Broncos lose Bo Nix. Who knows? But the Rams really good all season long. The weakest thing for this team, for me, in my opinion, I think was receiver. When Devontae goes down, the receiver took a real toll. Jordan Whittington, Xavier Smith, you had Puka and friends, right? You just didn't have anybody that really could bring that and help you offensively. I think you really have to think about, and I think they probably would take this guy. This is a guy with top 5 receiver potential. It's the injuries. Now, Puka with Tyson and Adams would be absolutely insane. I think Tyson is perfect. Adams is obviously 32. He's on his second year of 2 years. Why not? Get yourself another elite receiver. If Tyson stays healthy, he's going to be really good. He might not be as good as rookie year just because he's going to be wide receiver 3, but the fit is absolutely beautiful. And they steal him from the Ravens, who would definitely love to have that guy. Now, at Baltimore's pick at 14, I've really thought about it. Terrell could be good. Obviously, Marlon Humphrey is aging, and he wasn't that good this year. Could you go Denzel Boston? I think that's a reach. Thieneman, I thought more for the Rams, just because I still think safety is such a priority for that team. Just because the secondary, just in general, was super weak. Now, with the Ravens, though, I think the pick is Caleb Banks. You're just getting that elite defensive lineman. I think he really improved his stock even more. He's just been improving it all season long. Combine helped a ton. And now he's sitting at rank 13 on PFF as the best defensive lineman. He surpassed Peter Woods, who was super high up there for a long time. Peter Woods now fallen to 29. Not ideal. Not ideal at all. Now, at 15 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to go CJ Allen, I think. I think he just makes a lot of sense. This is a team that greatly needs linebacking help. Their linebackers this year just weren't as good. Lavonte David, obviously, sitting at age 35, 36. Need to improve that. Need to replace him. Need to think about long term. Now, I had Sadiq there last time. I do really think Sadiq could be the answer there. I just don't think it's going to happen just because I think they have a larger need at linebacker. But if Cade Otton is gone, I don't rule it out at all. We'll see what happens with the rest of it. But I think Sadiq is probably right around that top 23. I don't think he falls behind Philly at all. I think that is his maximum, really, right now. Now, at 16 with the New York Jets, obviously they get this trade from the Sauce Gardner one. They get this pick from the Sauce Gardner trade, I should say. What do they do? What do they do? I think they go corner. I think you take the best corner available, and that is Terrell. You're trying to replace Sauce Gardner. You're also trying to not replace, but improve the pick production. Now, this team had 0 picks. This is the first time since the 1950s when quarterbacks threw for 949 yards. Come on, man. How is that even possible? I don't know. Terrell is a really good prospect. I think he'd be really good. I am a huge fan of his. I like Clemson guys. I think he's a really good one. I'm hopeful I'm not wrong because I've been really hyping him up throughout this mock draft process. Get Terrell on the Jets. I think this is perfect. Obviously, Thomas was good out of FSU this past year. I think you gotta get that corner one. I think Terrell could really be that guy. Obviously, DJ Reed was also gone. The year prior, last year as well. He left to Detroit. You didn't really replace him, and obviously then you trade Sauce. You have really no corner production at all. So, moving on to the Detroit Lions. Oh man, I don't know, man. Some of these teams are sometimes hard to tell. I think the pick here is going to be Spencer Fano. I think he's just the guy best available. I think he could have gone to the Rams as well, but I think he just makes a ton of sense. Obviously, Sewell was hurt. Not really as worried with him. I think Taylor Decker is the real concern. Who knows if he'll retire or whatever, but I think Fano is an absolute beast. He was really good this past year. I believe he was the best offensive tackle in college football. Get Spencer Fano on this team. This is a team that loves to run the ball. They love to sit back in the pocket with Jared Goff. He's a big pocket presence quarterback. Spencer Fano, this offensive line gets a lot better. Taylor Decker was the weak link this year. I think Dan Skipper played there. He's fucking terrible. And I believe he retired too. But let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings. And I think no doubt about it. The pick is Dylan Dieneman. Absolute beast at the combine this week. Really improved his stock. I think he could go top 15. I said earlier he could have gone to the Rams. I really thought about it because I do really think they would think about it because he had an unbelievable combine. He had a really good season. A lot of these safeties have really improved their stock. Who knows? It's a weird position to draft in the first round, and we're looking at maybe 3 of them in the first, so who knows? Now at 19, this is a hard team to pick. Now, they're going to say their needs, wide receiver, defensive line, linebacker. Now, I don't think receiver is out of the question even, one should say. Denzel Boston, he can't really separate. That is kind of the big concern for him. I do think Concepcion's better, but I think Boston's still going to get picked first. Now, any of these edge rushers, Mesidor, Falk, Howell, nah. I think Cade McDonald, like I've been, kind of just thinking, who else could be the answer? Kenyon Sadiq, I really do think he could be the pick there too. I think I'm going to go Cade McDonald though, just because this team needs another interior defensive lineman. They want to play that way. Next to Derek Brown, who's obviously was injured in 2024. 2025, he's really, really good again. Get another defensive lineman. I think Cade McDonald is an absolute beast. He had a really good combine. I know Bears fans absolutely desperately want him, but they have a couple other needs now. I don't think they're going to get him. I think Cade McDonald's stock has risen too much. Now, at 20, obviously, if we run it back right here, take a look. Jermon McCoy was our pick earlier. This sets up Dallas perfectly. Dallas wants 2 things, like I keep saying. They want a defensive end. They want to replace Micah Parsons. They want a cornerback. They want to improve the weakest position on the team. They could also take a guy like Monroe Freeling. Obviously, their offensive line was a little questionable, but I still think it's pretty good. And if there's one thing Jerry Jones is good at, it might not be winning, but it is drafting an offensive lineman. Somehow, this guy drafts offensive linemen super easily, and he's hit on a lot of them. Now, at 20, who is the pick of the three? Mesidor, obviously the oldest, probably the best right now, but also how much better is he going to get? Falk definitely has good upside. Howell as well. I think Falk probably had a better combine. Howell's probably moved down a little bit for me. I think probably the pick right here is just going to be Mesidor. I think he's just the best player available. Jerry Jones does really want to win with Dak Prescott. Obviously, you're clearing a ton of cap this year. They just cleared, I believe, I was going to say 67 million. I can't even say the number without thinking of the fucking joke anymore. I think it was 67 million though. This is a team that really wants to win. And I think Mesidor is perfect. I think he's a guy who fits their timeline. They want to win now. They get the best guy available. Now, Falk and Howell, they definitely, they should have higher upside. But who knows how much better Mesidor gets. But I think their defensive coach, defensive coordinator, Christian Parker, was an absolute win as a hire. He's really respected. The Eagles were not happy to lose him. So he probably has a better idea than I do rating one of these prospects. But at 21 with the Steelers, who knows what they do at quarterback? I don't think it's going to be Kyler Murray. Obviously, Kyler Murray gets released, like I said earlier with the Cardinals. Opens up Pittsburgh. I think the other one is going to be Minnesota. I think those are the two teams that are really going to be in on him. I think he'll end up going to Minnesota, though. The Steelers, oh god, I don't know half the time. This is a team that drafts pretty poorly, pretty weirdly. I think Denzel Boston is the best player available for their needs. I think he makes a lot of sense. You're trying to get a wide receiver 2 next to Metcalf. You're trying to get another guy next to Metcalf. They had bad production. Roman Wilson, bust. Marquez Valdes-Scantling was playing. Adam Thielen. Martavis Bryant might be the next one they call up, I guess. But who knows, man. Now, at 22, I think you just go with Ioane, the best guard in the class, clearly. And without a doubt. He is just a beast. I mean, he was the best guard all season long and all off season long, and it still hasn't changed. I believe Pregnon had a very good combine as well. A couple other guys, Connor Lew, Slaughter, a couple centers. Definitely going to be interesting for the Bears in the second and third round for them to consider on those guys, but not going to consider them here with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I've seen rumors they're interested in Njoku. I almost drafted the wrong player. Kenyon Sadiq is the ideal pick here. Kenyon Sadiq had an unbelievable combine, probably one of the best combines ever for a tight end, if not the best. His 40 time was impressive. Everything was great. I mean, he was first, second, and first in all three categories. Not sure how many players are going to do that. I think Sadiq on this team would be perfect. I think he'd be an awesome guy. They love using their tight ends. We've seen that the last 20 years, 15 years. A.J. Brown, obviously, they want to trade him. They don't really have a lot of weapons. Dallas Goedert's a free agent. Seems like he's out. That's what they reported yesterday, at least. Get Sadiq. I think this is an awesome guy to get. And they'll be really happy with that. Now, at 24 with the Browns, I was thinking, I don't know, even talked to my dad about it. Ty Simpson, could that be the pick here? I think it's going to be on offensive tackle, though. I think you just have to improve the offensive line more. And I think Monroe Freeling is the best guy available. I do really like Lomo. Proctor had a very good combine as well. Who knows, really? I think Freeling's probably the pick. It's kind of hard to grade offensive tackles. So who knows? Who freaking knows? Now the Bears at 25. I'm gonna go with Peter Woods. I think McNeil Warren definitely in play, but I don't think it's as big of a need there. But I do think Peter Woods is an absolute win for them. Like I said, his production at Clemson was really good. He's a very good prospect. Obviously, his stock has really dropped off at the end in the last couple weeks and months. I believe he was a top 8 prospect on PFF and most of the other sites. And now he's sitting around 29. I still think his production was too good, and I think he's too good of a player, and I think that's just the biggest need the Bears have themselves. I think Caden Proctor could be a really interesting prospect for them, for the Eagles, for the Browns. But I think the pick here is Peter Woods. Now, the Bills, I'm going to continue what I've been picking, and I'm going to take Casey Concepcion, who I absolutely love at this fit. They want Dobbs. They want, I think it was Alec Pierce. I think it was Shaheed. They want speed. And I think Casey Concepcion gives that speed. I think he's a really dynamic player. He's good after the catch. This is a guy that I really think could be really, really good with Josh Allen. And I hope they pick him, as I love Josh Allen. He's my favorite player right now in the league. One of my favorite players ever in the NFL. My favorite pick here for the Niners. Now, I really like this guy. He had a good combine. He had a good season. I think he's a little undervalued because I think the way Indiana plays, they play a really RPO offense. And I think Cooper was underutilized. And we saw a couple of these moments where he would really step up in big plays and big moments. Like that Penn State game is a big one I think of every time I look at him and I see his name. That's a winning player, and I think for a team that losing Ayuk, they're losing Jawan Jennings to free agency, this really is an opening. And I think Chris Bell could be in play here too, but I think Cooper and Bell probably in play for a first rounder as well for any of these teams. And then the Browns could also take a receiver. Another one maybe. I mean, who knows, man. But now moving on to the Texans. Just because, they could really just take Fano at 6, and they could also just take a receiver. And that could fuck up some of these other teams. But I do think Cooper is in play for these 3, not the Bears, and I think Casey is as well. At 28 with the Texans, you got to draft offensive line. I think the best guy here, he had a great combine, like I said. Caden Proctor is an absolute monster. He'd be awesome to get as an offensive lineman for this team that really needs it. It got a little better, the offensive line. They have about 2 players that are good long term. The rest are replacement level or mediocre, but a mediocre offensive line is still better than some of the guys they've been putting out the last couple of years. Get Caden Proctor on this team, please. Or Lomu, I don't care. Either one, I'd be happy. Get Stroud some frickin' protection, bro, and maybe he can improve. The Chiefs, what an interesting team here. Who knows what the Chiefs will do? They could really take a receiver. Rashee Rice looks like a head case. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to take Chris Bell because I think Chris Bell doesn't fit their agenda. I don't think they want another speedy receiver. Obviously, they have Xavier Worthy. I think Bell's a better player. I think he's more dynamic. He's just a better route runner and overall player. Do the Chiefs take defensive end like Falk or Howell or Parker, McNeil Warren even? I don't know. I think Lomu is probably going to be the pick here for the Chiefs. I think he is the best player available. I think this is solving 2 of their biggest needs. They need offensive tackle. Jawan Taylor is going to get released. They're going to clear $20 million cap. They get rid of McDuffie. They draft Mansour Delane. Even if they don't get Jeremiah Love, that's fine. That is fine. Because I think these 2 guys, and then you go sign Algier or somebody like that, or ETN or Kenneth Walker. Please no. you really improve the team. And obviously, Mahomes expected back week 1. This is perfect. This is literally even better setup for him for next year. I don't know why teams trade with them, though. Moving on to Denver, who I do think is going to get Kenneth Walker. It seems like that they are said to make a big splash. The Jets put on the franchise tender tag, which if you want to pay a player and get them like Breece Hall and the Jets don't match it, the Broncos have to give up 2 firsts. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I really did want Breece to leave. I don't think anyone's going to be doing that, though, unfortunately. Now, what do the Broncos do? Could you think about, Eli Stowers? I think tight end is arguably their biggest need. Um, Linebacker would be awesome as well with Anthony Hill. Down here, what is what is this team gonna do? Lee Hunter, I do think, is definitely in play here as well. If John Franklin Myers is to leave, and I do expect him to, unfortunately. I don't think Cece's the pick. I don't think Colton Hood's the pick. McNeil Warren is probably in there, but I think they're going to go with Stowers. I really do. I think Stowers makes a lot of sense. I think he's a good scheme fit. I think this is a team that desperately needs a tight end, and they really have since Julius Thomas back in 2013 and Peyton Manning's unbelievable season. But who knows? The Broncos are kind of a hard one to read at 30 because there is a couple different ways they could go. Like I said, McNeil Warren and Lee Hunter make a ton of sense for us. Now, with the Pats, I think you take the best player available. You take Keldrick Falk. You need edge rusher. I do think receiver is in play. Stephon Diggs did get released today, but I expect them to sign somebody in free agency, like an Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs, maybe. But this is a team that needs to add a receiver. I do expect them to be super heavy in on A.J. Brown and whatever other receivers might come up in trade talks. I think Michael Pittman could be available if Pierce is re-signed to Indianapolis. But I don't know. I really don't. The Pats are kind of another hard one. You got a couple here where it's a lot harder to pick. Now, with the Seahawks at 32, could you make the case for an RB? Now, Price had a very, very good combine. I really do think he is in play here. Who knows what they're going to do at running back? Charbonnet is on the roster. Kenneth Walker is a free agent. They're not going to franchise tag him or any tag him. He's gone. Seth McCowan has really moved up his stock, which is kind of crazy to think about. Like I said, Mike Washington, really, really interesting as well. Incredible combine. Obviously, Taylor Green had a really good combine. He might have to switch positions after that. What do the Seahawks do? I think corner is in play. Like I said, I think Cisse could be the pick there. I don't know about defensive line or edge rusher. It's a very hard one here. And I've had trouble picking Seattle really the entire time. I think Pregnon makes a lot of sense. I think that is probably going to be the pick here, if not Price. I'm going to go with Pregnon. I think he just makes a lot of sense. He's good. They like drafting offensive linemen. I think he makes a lot of sense as well, like I keep saying. I think I said that 3 times. But just building your offensive line, improving it, would be a great idea. And I think, offensive guard's probably their weakest. Obviously, Zabel was pretty good this year. Pregnon would add to that. But that's all for me on this one. Much longer mock draft, but we will be doing a 2-week mock draft soon. I will be posting my next one prior to free agency beginning. I believe that is Tuesday at 5 p.m. But hopefully we get some more trades and things start clearing up a little bit for some of these teams. And hopefully the Broncos get Kenneth Walker, and I'll see y'all. Bye.